loves, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm gonna show you guys how to avoid the cake face, pretty much how to do my foundation routine and what I do to avoid looking powdery. I get a lot of questions when I'm at work or just in general from people who ask me how to get a flawless makeup application without looking cakey. So I'm gonna share with you guys my tips and my tricks. A lot of these things are so basic and easy for you guys to do. These tips are going to help people who are oily and people who are dry as well. So I feel like I've been doing this routine for a really long time and it's really worked well for me. So I wanted to share that with you guys. So if you guys want to see how to avoid that cakey foundation, just keep watching. So guys, I've already prepped my face. I washed, I toned, and I moisturized my face this morning. That's one thing I will tell you guys to make sure you're doing is make sure you're moisturizing your face. The way you take care of your skin is going to reflect how your makeup looks. Just by explaining to you guys a little bit on that is I do get a lot of questions from people who are oily and they ask me, oh, but if I'm oily, should I still moisturize? Yes, hands down, you still need to moisturize because you're just keeping your skin hydrated and you want your skin to really look its best. So you always want to make sure you're prepping your skin. So the first thing I do is I do take this Urban Decay Quick Fix Spray and I spray it all over my face. This is before my foundation, before my primer, anything. And the reason why I do that is because I want to keep my face hydrated, moisturized. It does have coconut water in it, so it does hydrate and smooth the face. It also helps with priming the skin as well. One of my favorites has been Max Fix Plus, but lately I've been using this one because I notice when I use this Urban Decay one that I feel like my face is a lot smoother and it's a lot more hydrated. My skin is oily to combination skin, so I always have to make sure I prep my skin before foundation or I'm gonna look like an oily mess. People who are on the drier side really have to use these steps in order to prep their skin. If you do have dry skin, using a setting spray or a mist is something that's going to help you tremendously, and it's really going to help out those dry patches and it's going to make your foundation go on really flawlessly. So I'm going to take this and just spray it all over my face. The next thing I want to do is go in with a primer. This is the primer that I have been using lately and it is the Urban Decay Optical Illusion Complexion Primer. It has rosehip and argan oil in it. It really nourishes your skin and it also has the ability to blur out any of the pores. And also when using a primer, it really helps with texture in your skin. If you have any breakouts or redness, this also helps soothe the skin as well. It has a slight pink tint to it and it also dries down to a matte finish. What I do with this is I just take a little bit on my fingers and I rub it together, and I like to put it here on the top of my forehead, on my nose as well, because this is where you're gonna get like your biggest pores, around this area, and on my chin. I don't like to do a whole lot, but I do like to make sure I put this all over my face. If you don't want to use it all over your face, you can also just use it around the T-zone area where you get oily and you see like more of the pores. So I have a little bit of fine lines underneath my eyes, so I like to take just a little bit and put it underneath my eyes only because I like it to fill in the lines there, and that way it won't crease or anything like that when I put my concealer on. So if you guys are not new to my channel, you know that I'm constantly using a beauty blender. This is a pure beauty blender. I just received this in my BoxyCharm box and this is the first time I'm using it, so it's brand new. But this is something I always use on a daily basis whenever I'm doing my foundation. Don't have anything against brushes, but I feel like the beauty blender really helps your foundation look more natural. And sometimes when you're on the drier side, you kind of want to stay away from the brush because it will accentuate those dry patches, so you don't want to do that. You guys can use the original beauty blender. I like the Real Technique sponge. Like I said, I'm trying this pure sponge for the first time today. It really feels nice and soft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my foundation, and what I'm using is the Estee Lauder Double Wear. A lot of you guys have seen this on my channel multiple times. This is because this is my favorite foundation. I feel like it looks like skin. It does an awesome job at covering anything up and it looks great in photos as well. well. A lot of people don't like to use this every day because they feel like it's heavier, but for me it's not that much heavier than any other foundation. So for me, this is a cross between a matte and a dewy foundation. It's not really dewy and it's not really matte. It's like that perfect in between combination. And I like to shake it first, and then I go in and I will pour it on my beauty blender. The only thing is that this foundation does not come with a pump, but if you go to the MAC store and get a $10 pump, it will work perfectly fine with this. And I just like to just pounce this right on my skin. I don't like to swipe, and I'm just gonna take it and pounce it right on the skin. If you guys noticed, I'm pouncing this on the skin opposed to like going like this on it. If you're using a brush, it's the same thing. A lot of times people swipe, and that's when it starts to look cakey. Now, you don't want to use too much foundation. I've seen people really overdo it and think they need a whole lot of foundation. If you guys need a little bit more coverage, you can always do concealer underneath. I do have a video that shows you how to cover up any acne scarring or any acne. I will link that down below for you guys, and that's how I put my concealer on before the foundation. So I'm just gonna finish this off so that I can show you guys how I do my concealer. So now next I'm going in with my concealer, and I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. You guys know this is one of my favorites just because it's really thick, and I like a really thick concealer. It covers up everything underneath the eye. Even though I don't have any dark circles underneath the eyes, this is gonna do a really good job at covering up any dark circles. It is a really thick concealer, but for some reason it's really moisturizing. It doesn't dry up, it doesn't crease, and that's what I like about this concealer. This is probably the third one I've gone through since it came out, and the shade I'm using is in Light. So what I like to do is I go underneath my eye in a triangular motion. And then I go in with my beauty blender and just blend all that in. So guys, this is when you really have to be careful on it starting to look a little bit cakey, just because we are layering a lot of makeup. And I'm going to use my Airspun Original Powder. You can use any translucent powder you guys have. I know a lot of people use the Laura Mercier one, but this is just a cheaper option. It's from the drugstore, and it costs about $5 to $6, and it's just as good. Mine lasts so long because it's huge, and I feel like the Laura Mercier one I kind of run out really quickly with, and it is more expensive. And this one I've had for a really long time, and it's not that expensive. So what I do is I take the beauty blender and I dip it in the powder, and I go on top of that concealer and just push it into the skin. So I personally do not like to let my powder bake for a really long time because I feel like it gets into all the creases and the fine lines. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this Sigma F25 brush and I just dust it off really quickly. You guys notice when I was putting the powder on my face, I was pushing it into my skin. And like I said, I don't like to let it sit there and bake too long because I feel like it gets into the fine lines. So just taking that powder, just dusting off my face. One last thing I like to do is I like to set my face. I know I just set that concealer with the powder, but I like to set my face all over. And this is the MAC Studio Fix Foundation. I'm in an NC25. As you guys can see, I've used this a ton. So what I like to do is I take like a big fluffy brush, something like this. This is an IT Cosmetics brush. So I'm just gonna go all over and set my face. The reason why I like to go all over my face with this is because I want to set everything and lock everything in, because we are going to go back and use that same spray when we're finished. Actually, this is a powder foundation, but I feel like it looks really good when you set your face with this, because I feel like it just gives everything like a nice smooth overall finish. I'm going to finish off the rest of my face and I will be right back. So guys, I finished my makeup, and the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spray my face again with the Urban Decay Quick Fix. The reason why is because I want to lock in all those powders and the foundation that I did use. And also, if you want to look a little bit more dewy than you do, and you did use a lot of powders, you can also spray your face as well, because that's going to help and it's not going to look as matte. But the reason I like to do it is because I like to lock in all the powder on my face, and I also want to make sure I don't look powdery, so this actually really helps. So guys, that is the end of the video. As you guys can see, my face doesn't look cakey, it doesn't look powdery or anything like that. This is what I do on a regular, normal basis, and pretty much every day when I do my foundation routine. So if you guys take these tips and put them in your foundation routine, you really will see a difference, and you definitely will avoid that cakey, powdery look. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys. Thank you.